It's November 30th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a cosmic strike from the heavens, a man who died with a code in his pocket, and a future leader is born. Let's begin. On November 30th, 1954, a quiet afternoon in Sylacauga, Alabama, turned into a strange moment in modern history. Anne Hodges was resting in her living room. Something slammed into her home with impossible force. A meteor ripped straight through her roof, shattering the rafters and ricocheted off a wooden radio and struck Anne directly on her hip. She became the first recorded human in history to be hit by a rock from deep space. Neighbors said the blast sounded like an explosion. Anne said it felt like being punched by the sky. The meteor, the very object that injured her, brought chaos. Local authorities seized it, claiming it was government property. Her landlord claimed that it belonged to him because it fell through his roof. And suddenly, reporters, scientists, and curious strangers arrived daily, all wanting a piece of the stone. Anne found herself trapped in a bitter legal tug-of-war over an object that had already changed her life. The dispute dragged on for months, long enough that Anne had wished the meteor had missed her entirely. In the end, she did get the rock back, but at the cost of her peace. Today, the meteor sits in a museum. In a cosmos full of billions of rocks, the odds of one striking a single person are nearly impossible. Yet, it happened. On November 30th, 1948, the man who would become one of Australia's greatest mystery was seen for a final time. Just before dark, beachgoers in Somerton, outside of Adelaide, noticed a well-dressed stranger sitting alone on the seawall. He wasn't drunk, he wasn't injured, but something about him seemed off. Witnesses said he stared out at the waves with an empty, distant look, as if he was listening to something only he could hear. Hours passed, and he never moved. By nightfall, he was still sitting upright, legs crossed neatly, half a smoked cigarette resting on his collar. No one approached him, and they didn't realize they were watching the last moments of a man whose identity remains unknown to this day. The next morning, he was found dead in the same position. No wallet, no ID, every clothing label carefully cut out. His fingerprints matched no one in the country, and tucked deep in his pocket was a tiny roll of paper, a single phrase from an ancient Parisian poem. "It is finished." Investigators discovered it was torn from a rare copy of Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. When the police finally located the matching book, they found strange markings inside. Codes, symbols, and a woman's phone number. Did he die by poison? Was he a spy caught in the webs of post-war espionage? More than 70 years later, and no one can say for sure. The Somerton man's identity remains locked behind silence, codes, and shadows. A ghost from a post-war world who refused to leave his name behind. On November 30th, 1874, in the cold halls of Blenheim Palace, an event unfolded that even the staff whispered about for decades. It was the night Winston Churchill, future wartime leader, came into the world in a way that felt anything but ordinary. A winter storm hammered the palace. Guests attending a lavish ball said the wind howled through the corridors like a warning. Inside, the music suddenly stopped when Lady Randolph Churchill, only 7 months pregnant, collapsed to the floor. Servants rushed to her aid, but the nearest doctor was miles away, and the roads were turning to ice. What followed was described later as a frantic whisper of chaos. She was moved to a small side room near the ball, not a bedroom, and not a medical space, just a quiet chamber lit by flickering candles. Guests huddled outside the door hearing muffled footsteps and hurried voices inside, but no one truly knew what was happening. Witnesses swore that moments before the infant's first cry, the entire palace fell silent. The wind stopped, and the music ceased. It lasted for only a few seconds, but long enough that guests wrote about it in their diaries. When silence broke, so did the tension. A small, premature cry of a newborn. Winston Churchill delivered 2 months early into a world that wasn't quite ready for him. Doctors later said he shouldn't have survived the night. He was tiny, fragile, and born without the advantages of proper equipment or medical preparation. Yet somehow he clung to life, with a stubborn determination that seemed far beyond his size. Some say great leaders are shaped by destiny. If so, Churchill's destiny began long before he even spoke a word. He entered the world suddenly, dramatically, and under a silence that many believed wasn't entirely natural. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.